Alright everyone, I'm back with my program trash rehash deck, also known as the Crowdsourced deck. If you remember from my earlier video, I was asking you all for suggestions on how to improve my deck, and here they are. First, I'd like to thank the people who have commented. WREQT mentioned Lotus Field, which upon reading it, I was like, of course, it's so obvious. Why didn't I think of that before? That's the perfect fit for this deck, and it can't come at a better time when everyone's running that ready ice. With York, Lotus Field will lock them shut if you get a power shutdown on the net ready ice. So it's definitely going in, and I've sacked 2 Merlins for the Lotus Field, which seems very counterintuitive because you want to spam all the Grail ice. My rationale is Merlin is the least useful of the 3 Grail Ice because the 2 net damage isn't really what this deck is going for. It's not that useful against most runners. Nowadays, there are very few criminals. Net damage is best against criminals. And most importantly, it's a 4-strength code gate. So I'm substituting a 4-strength code gate for a 4-strength code gate. So things still remain the same at 1 influence each, and they've served the same purpose. Seth made the suggestion of swapping out the Grail Suite for Bioroid Ice, which is a problem because this deck is all about rig denial. You're denying the rig. If you use Bioroid Ice, they can still click through the ice and get through your servers, which is what you do not want. So that's a no-go, but he did raise a very good point. Will of the Wisp is a pretty good card. I didn't include it here because it's too expensive and takes up valuable deck slots for something that could be pretty useless, like against the likes of Cerberus Lady. You don't want to give them more dogs to play around with. But it's still pretty good, I must say. In certain circumstances, like up against Morningstar, being able to bury your opponent's Morningstar or Fem is pretty huge. Alright, so here I make an opening move of using my Merlin on R&D, not on HQ because I don't think he's running Siphon. I do not play the Lotus Field on HQ because I want to reserve the Lotus Field for a remote, knowing that Anarchs have a very tough time going through. He plays very aggressively running my R&D, and I punish him appropriately with a discard of the Earthrise Hotel and Medium. This will come back to bite him very painfully later on. Earthrise Hotel helps a lot with draw, and him having no access to that is pretty game-changing. He gets his KT going. KT money is always good. And here I consider my options. I could install Blacklist, but it's pretty useless. You do not install Blacklist until you are sure that it will actually do something, like prevent the same old thing or clone chip. Otherwise, it's just a free trash for the runner, especially when you install it naked. I install a Lotus Field on the remote because I know that I want to lock Valencia out soon enough, and remote draw draws me in near hub draw draws me to a Sansan, so that's immediately going into the remote. This is so good. Sansan City Grid is awesome here because if he blackmails this server, and I know he's packing 3 blackmails, I don't really lose out on anything. As is the case here, all that happens is that he accesses the blackmail, I don't lose agenda points, and he's forced to trash it. I mean, having come into the server, spending so much effort, and the blackmail, that's the only thing he can do. If he doesn't trash it, I can fast advance my Astro scripts if I draw into them, being on 13 credits. So it's a win-win for me. In this case, I forced out his blackmail, and very nicely, I forced him to make a run, which means that I get to power shut down his Data Sucker. So this is pretty key, because I'm pretty sure he has Parasites in his hand, and I do not want him to insta-Parasite down my Merlin. So that's great. In the meantime, I draw something interesting and install it in the remote. Gambling that he does not have 2 blackmails this early on, and even if he does he really want to spend all his blackmails just to get through my 1 ice server? No, he doesn't. So I could score the bill now, but I chose not to. Instead, I'm going to slow play it because my mocked account has run dry of money and I drew into a pet campaign. So I'm looking forward for the long-term money here. So I install the pet and hit marked, and turns out it works out heavily in my favor because he Queen's Gambited the bill. Oh my gosh. So I sit here contemplating, can I get a 7-point bill off of this? As in 7 advancement tokens. Can I try to fast advance an Astro script somewhere else and then use the Astro token on the bill? Nah. I'll just score it for 3 points, which is 5 advancements. So I install the Jackson and double advance for the 3-point bill. This is pretty huge. That Queen's Gambit really accelerated my game. a significant error from his part, thinking that, well, I wouldn't say it's something that you can blame him. I mean, it really didn't seem like agenda because I did not score it last turn. If it was an Astro, I would definitely have scored it right away. But he didn't consider that it could have been a build that was slow playing it. Well, unfortunately, I am forced to sack my Jackson Howard because he does run it. I wanted the Jackson to stay on the board because I am planning to use Power Shutdown once more since he has installed a new Data Sucker. Now, Data Sucker is not the best target for Power Shutdown. He might be running Net Ready Ice, which I want to reserve my Power Shutdowns for, and Data Sucker cannot protect Net Ready Ice anyway. But I still do so because Data Sucker could protect other programs such as Corroder. If he installs a Corroder quickly, he might find himself in trouble if I lock him out of his Corroders by using Power Shutdown. At the very least, it will slow him down as he has to dig through his massive 50 card deck, which should work in my favor either way. Now here I install a Black Disc in the Lotus Field remote, mostly because I want to force him to making a run, or a blackmail run or something. There is not much in the way that right now there's not much my Black Disc is going to do, because he has no clone chips out and he has barely drawn his deck. But the problem is he made a normal run on the Lotus Field. So that basically sealed the game for me. The biggest worry I had this game was him blackmailing my remotes, thereby preventing me from scoring agendas anyway other than fast advancing. But the moment he ran Lotus Field, I could easily just slot my builds and Astro Scripts in there. He can't do a thing without York and Net Ready Ice, so I just win. So that victory came very easy, and it was all thanks to Lotus Field. Because I can feel so safe knowing that he needs not just one breaker but two combo pieces in order to have any chance of getting through my Lotus Field. Sure, it's broken for free once he has Net Ready Ice and York out, but before that, he has absolutely no way of getting in. It's one of the best binary ice against Net Ready Anarch, and this is why it's so strong right now, even though Net Ready Ice is out. Lotus Field actually becomes stronger, not weaker. And so this win was mostly because my opponent made some critical misplays, more so than skilled piloting on my part. Running the Lotus Field was obviously a mistake. Getting me to res it meant that I basically had the game locked down. So I could just chuck my agendas in the remote and there would be nothing in HQ. I didn't have to worry about him sieging it. While there's a Merlin on the R&D, which he cannot really get through. And that's why I won. When you're playing as Valencia, you need to maintain the threat of blackmail. This is why you do not run the remotes, the ice on the remote. And this is why you need to deny Executive Bootcamp. Until you have your entire breaker suite out, you need to ensure that blackmail is always a threat. Whether you use the blackmail or not, that's down to you and how well you read your opponent. But until then, you need to prevent the ice from being rezzed. And yeah, back to the turn 1 move of face planting my Merlin. Of course, he couldn't have seen it coming, but denying his Earthrise Hotel was probably one of the biggest factors in why he lost, because he wasn't able to dig for his all-important breakers. Having no tutors like Special Order or SMC, he was not able to get through my Lotus Field in a good time. So Power Shutdown for one was a phrase that I would have commonly said that game a lot if we were playing in person. He never got to use his Data Sucker tokens because the Data Suckers never stayed on the board for more than a turn or two. But the most important purpose they served that game was to deny his clone chips any form of Power Shutdown protection. If he has clone chip and Data Sucker on the board and I Power Shutdown for one, he's almost certainly deleting the Data Sucker instead of the clone chip. But if I'm able to force him to delete a clone chip, and he did use a clone chip to recur a Data Sucker, that's one less parasite I have to deal with on my Grail Ice, which is a victory for me because it is by far the biggest weakness of the Grail Ice suite. So what other improvements can I make to my deck? WREQT made a very awesome suggestion of Lotus Field, and it paid off handsomely as evidence this game. Do you have any other better ideas on how I can improve this deck? Do leave your comments in the suggestions in the comments below, and hopefully I can further improve this deck as a collective effort by all you YouTubers. Thanks for watching. Happy net running. Goodbye.